All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Trust Engine Mortgage Coach Friday Mastermind every Friday for Todd. Has it been 6 years now? Are we going on
No, I
6
think
years?
we've officially, I think, hit the 7-year mark.
So
2016 we started.
7 years we've been doing this. Todd and I have been doing it. And then Deborah Bird, are we going on 2 years where you've been joining us?
I want to say almost 3.
Almost
It was
3. Oh my God.
2020.
So
Yeah,
yeah. And then what was it last year? We hit, was it our 500?
300.
300. Guys, you see how good I am with numbers. I'm ADD and dyslexic. All I know is we've been rocking it out on Fridays for a long time. And we're always just looking for, who are the best operators and producers in the industry. So sometimes it's a loan officer. We bring in industry coaches. We bring in authors that we just align with their values, Paul Jones is, Phil Jones. Paul, I'm just on a roll today. Phil Jones was some new author we brought in. And guys, today we're bringing in someone who probably doesn't need that much of an introduction because he's got such an amazing following. Amir Syed, what's up, my brother?
Man, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. You have no idea. I've been watching you for a long time, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm here. I still feel like a kid most of the time, and so thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, it's grateful to have you. So Todd, what do you want to say to open up the call and before we officially bring him on and just start drilling him and masterminding with him?
Well, I'm up in San Luis Obispo doing some wedding planning. I'm taking off a little bit early so that I can go taste the cake. And I just could not miss the opportunity to be here and say kind things about Amir. I met Amir at the Modern Mortgage Summit and just have been super impressed with your leadership in the industry and all the things that you are really pushing out there to help loan officers grow. And so I'm excited to be here. And as always, excited to see Deborah wearing her first Home IQ Founder Friend t-shirt.
Yes, I'm pumped up. You guys don't know this, but one of my clients is working on a whole marketing campaign incorporating First Home IQ with her clients that she helps in the mortgage space. So super pumped about the mission of First Home IQ. And then Amir, I also met you for the first time at the Modern Mortgage Summit, and I'm fired up because your energy, your tenacity, your passion. I saw you do some kind of live coaching just at our table group. And I'll never forget when you first came up to me, you were like, hold on a second. There's 2 of you. Like the whole time I thought y'all were the same person. Y'all are 2 separate people between Denise and I, which for those who don't know, we're identical twins. And so you're not the only one who has come up and said that to us, but just your passion, your energy. I'm excited for this next hour to learn from you.
Thank you very much, Deborah. I will remember that very much because, Instagram has a way of putting people everywhere. And I said, she's so omnipresent. And then when I saw you and I saw your sister, I said, okay, now it makes sense why they're everywhere because there's 2 of you,
Yeah.
So
If
one
you
of
pay
you
a
is
lot of
everywhere,
money,
2 of you. Yeah.
Just pay a lot of money and clone yourself. And that's how you can accomplish the being everywhere.
Yeah, well, I don't think we want 2 people looking like me with my big nose running around. So you're a little bit more, attractive than me.
Thank you.
But it's good to be with you. First Home IQ. I know Dave and Todd brought me there as well. And, the other day, my wife and I were working out and she said, there should be something out there that teaches young people how to buy their first home. And I looked at her and I said, there is. It just came out. And she goes, well, what's it called? I said, First Home IQ. And she slowed down on the NordTrack bike and she said, that's a great name. Wow. And so giving you guys kudos naturally, you guys have something really special you're building. So.
Yeah, thank you for that. And for everyone that's watching this, if you have not already got on the email list, it's free. And you can just go to firsthomiq.com and put in your email and we'll keep you updated on that mission. We're also selling very expensive shirts to raise money. Right now, we have a bigger plan to go, but Deborah's she bought the first founder friend. That's $1,000 shirt that she has on. We do have $40 shirts too, and all the proceeds go to First Home IQ. So check it out, First Home IQ, at least get on the mailing list. So Amir, obviously, you were at the Modern Mortgage Summit and I knew who you were before that. And I knew that you were really doing something special in the industry. And that was, it was great to see you at that event. But just so everyone in this community gets to know you better, let's just start from the beginning and just tell us what you do. I mean, you're a loan officer, you're a coach. I follow you on social media, and I really, to me, there's stuff on social media that's bad. There's stuff on social media that's noise, and there is stuff on social media that's valuable. And I think there's kind of two levels of valuable. There's like, it's good, it's elite, or it's excellent, it's elite. And I think with the content you're creating is like elite, like it's really valuable content. So tell us everything you do.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Thank you for having me at the Modern Mortgage Summit. It just speaks to the power of connectivity right now. What COVID did was really fragment and isolate the industry, scatter everybody to work from home, and going to live events has never been more important. And if you didn't personally extend your leadership hand to me and said, you should come to this, I would never be on here. One leader, empowers another up and coming leader to come to a connection event, and then relationships start from there. And I can't stress that enough. So you are such a treasured person in our industry. And in regards to your question, I have to go back even a little bit ways away. My mother and dad and I immigrated to this country in 1981. We left our entire families back home in Iran, came here for a better opportunity. And my dad was a shoe salesman making $3.75 an hour, fighting with high school kids. My mom couldn't get a job at McDonald's. And we moved almost 10 times by the time I was 11, 12, just to make it, and come from very humble beginnings. English is my second language. I did not graduate high school, but one of the most influential men in that high school graduated me. And so I was never good in school, had terrible grades. And so when I went to college, I got into the mortgage business. Obviously, this industry is so wonderful. It opens up so many opportunities for people. And when I first started reading a personal development book, I read Darren Hardy's Compound Effect, and it blew my mind. And that was the first book I actually enjoyed after reading Magic Johnson's autobiography in high school, because he was my favorite, basketball player. So I read one book before that, and then it was Darren Hardy's Compound Effect. And when I read that, it was like, honestly, like seeing my wife for the first time. I fell in love with my wife, love at first sight, not for her, but for me, seeing her. And it was like love at first sight reading that book, because it completely blew my mind. And I got hooked, and I recommend everybody read that book. It's the fundamental personal development book. And I read another one and another one and another one. And I finally found the education I wanted. It's the engine in a car makes the tires go. The two things between our ears, the thing between our two ears, our brain, is our engine. And the more we feed it, I realized I started changing. I started looking at things differently. And so I started to have these mentors that I've never met, the Darren Hardys, the Brian Tracy's. Every time a book would come in, even to this day, when a book comes in from Amazon, I tell my wife, I've got a new mentor. I'm going to make thousands of dollars, impact a lot of people, because I'm going to read it, and I'm going to implement it. And so I've had many people in my life believe in me when I've had a massive chip on my shoulder growing up. And I have, 5 specific people in my life that have helped me. The gentleman that graduated me from high school, the gentleman that gave me my first job in the mortgage business, and a few others, even current people right now that I'm coaching with. And so what I realized is that, what we put in our mind and how we deprogram ourselves to reprogram ourselves, and what we put out is very powerful. Words very much matter. They very much matter. And when I put my content out, I am in the stage of abundance right now. I started realizing, Dave, that there is a lot of noise right now, and people are drowning in noise, and they're swimming towards clarity. And I said, I'm going to share everything that I have learned as tactically as possible with the community, almost to the point where I'm like, should I be sharing this because I'm giving away too much? I said, nope, I'm going to make myself uncomfortable. I had a gentleman I met about 2 years ago that challenged me and says, you need to get out of your comfort zone. I said, I've heard that all the time, and I've heard it. And I said, I am comfortable. How can I get uncomfortable? I'm going to go out and do some video content. I'm going to go out there and share everything. I hired a copywriter that helps me with my short form content, and I've been putting it out there. And I will tell you, the power of personal brand, the power of truly going out there without any reservations and sharing with everyone anything we know, it is the most powerful thing that I've ever experienced in my 20 plus years as a professional. And that's the attractive character, the attractive leadership that people are looking for right now, is give it away all for free, and do it in a way where you can communicate it to have people understand, whatever your zone of genius is. And it's opened up so many doors for me. So as I finish my thought here, it goes back to truly the more you give, it's incredible how many doors open up. You have to be so uncomfortable giving away everything that you actually get everything. And so that's what it's done for me these last 18 months.
So, wow, man, I learned a lot about you that I did not know. I didn't know that you struggled in high school. I did too. I mean, I did graduate, but I'm ADD, like real deal ADD kid that took Ritalin as a young kid, and I'm dyslexic, and school was really difficult. And I started a blog, not a blog post, a LinkedIn post 2 days ago, not yesterday, but the day before. And I titled it "My Love Note to the Mortgage Industry." I don't know if that's all, I'll actually put it on LinkedIn, but I was driving my Tesla to coffee a couple mornings ago, and I was just like, I love this car. How lucky am I to have this car? And then I was going, I live in a place in Newport Beach. Todd, kind of like when you're going on to what's called Lido Village, and you just see,
Oh, yeah.
and I looked out and I go, how lucky am I? And then as that happened, the U2 song, "It's a Beautiful Day," it had like started as I made the turn, but like as I hit this peak experience, that song just started like hitting the apex. And I literally like started crying. Like I had tears, and it was all around like this mortgage industry. Like think of the gift that it's given. Now I found out that it's given you a gift. So I want to hear, and then Todd, I'm going to give it to you. But
interrupt for 1 second though, Dave. I saw your post. You made a post that said like, "Thank you everyone for giving me this incredible life," and now it all ties back in.
Yeah,
I just love that. And, you've impacted so many of us, Dave. So you deserve the life that you've gotten as a result of what you've given to all of us.
Well, thank you, brother. Yeah, I did do that post because I, got my coffee, and then I went and sat, and I'm like, I got to journal on this. Like I got to remember the gratitude and everything. But I want to hear a little more of that, because I think we're at a time in mortgage where a lot of people aren't writing a love note to the mortgage industry. They're, it could be a toxic relationship. So I want you to unpack that a little more. And then Todd and Deborah, I'd love to have you do that, because I do think, I know the title was the 10X mission, and I know you probably got a lot to share on that. I just want to make sure we really crush, like, how lucky are we to be in this business? So tell me a little bit more about that. And then Todd and Deborah, let's all give our love note to the mortgage industry. And then by halftime, we'll focus on 10X.
Yeah, Dave, I think two things come to me. Thank you for sharing that. That's incredible. Two things come to me when you shared that story is Kobe Bryant is one of my favorite athletes of all time. And he wrote Dear Basketball. And if people have not read it, they should read it. And that reminds me of you, saying like, dear loan officer or dear mortgage, that's your love note to our industry. And it also speaks to how you live so much in the moment, where you have your hands on the Tesla steering wheel. It's that visceral feeling of being in that moment. Like, here, I'm with you guys. I'm so in the moment, and I'm so happy to be here with you, all of you. I say, I can't believe it. I approach as most of my days where there's a saying in the Japanese language called shojin, which is a beginner's mindset. And so what I think is there's all these sayings that you have to, date your wife, go on date night and find out why you fell in love with your wife. And it's true. My wife and I, sometimes during date night, I will look at her and I will completely put myself in the shoes of when I was first courting her. And I look at her differently. And I say, man, this is why I love her so much, because I go super down to the moment of in that being in with her. Where I relate this is there's this saying, date the rate, marry the home, right? We have to date the mortgage business again. We have to we have to fall in love with the mortgage business again, right? I'm a big believer of is greater than was, okay? What is happening right now that allows me to fall in love with the business? This business has been so good to us, especially the loan officers that have been in the business a long time. I am an immigrant and a high school dropout, and this business has created so much financial reward. We have to remember what it's done for us. And so my biggest message to that is be in the moment, find the little things that had you fall in love with the business at the very beginning when you were really dating it before you married the industry, and that will allow us to realize that this is such a great industry and the future is so promising. And so what are some of those examples? The total cost analysis, right? I'm not doing any plug. I've been wanting to do that freaking thing for so long, but it's been so busy that finally I got to settle down and say, okay, I have time. Wow, this is amazing. This is such a great presentation tool. People are mixing their tech stack. Encompass is the loan manufacturing. CRM is to manage a client. This is a ridiculously nice front-facing loan presentation tool. I can get in here. I have time to fall in love with a new tool to help me be better in my role. It's these little things, for example, right? So it's about not so much dating the rate if we're giving home buyers that advice. It's about dating the mortgage business again.
Boom. Todd, questions, comments, and then to you, D-Bird.
Well, no, I love it. I feel like it's this whole idea of in rookie mode. I've, Deborah and I've had a bunch of conversations, a bunch of interviews that we've done where I feel like so many of the people that I'm talking to are telling me how tired they are, how worn out they are, and they transparently just don't want to work as hard as they have to work to get a successful business that they want in 2023 as we go into the second half. And so she and I did a second half call, and I really thought this whole idea of, I've talked to so many people who are brand new in the business, who are putting in the work. They're willing to work an 8-hour day or a 9-hour day or whatever it takes. They're willing to do the activities they know that they need to do in order to figure out the results they want. And I'm seeing all these great success stories from people who transparently don't have the experience that the rest of you have, who are all, I don't want to say bitching and moaning, but I'll say it anyway. And so I just love the fact that you're really talking about that whole idea, Amir, of really looking at it. And then I would say, the one that always hits me, right? I've been married 33 years. So I just love it when you say date your wife. And for me, it was always date my wife, date my kids. As I'm up here on a wedding vacation with, getting wedding planning, it makes you reflect on those things. And so I think when you hear Amir say these things, I think you all should be looking at it from, first off, the appreciation that he's sharing it. And then second off of, hey, how can I install this into my life so that I can to have those experiences with those that matter to me and those that I love.
Right.
Deborah, you're unmute. You need to unmute yourself.
Rookie mode right here. A lot of people don't know this, and some do, but when I got out, I took a little 2-year break from the mortgage industry. I had moved from Houston back to Dallas, and I was struggling with this dilemma of, when I go back to Dallas, do I join my sister's team or do I go on my own? Because I have 4 kids and I, selfishly really didn't want to split the commission. But inside, deep down, I thought it felt guilty to admit that I just didn't feel like what I was doing was making enough of an impact in the speed that I wanted it to. And I had come from teaching and coaching middle schoolers, which obviously, that's very rewarding, and you can see how you can impact lives. And so I was wrestling with this inner dilemma of, I make a lot of money and there's parts of it that I really like and there's needs of it, but I struggled. And so I decided to go work for a family law firm, and I kind of got lost. Like I was in a dark space. And I'm so grateful for the time that I was in the mortgage industry starting from 2013 and going to things like Todd Duncan and Sales Mastery, because during those dark times, I still followed Savage, Dan Keller, Bill Hart, Todd Bookspan, like people who were creating content. And I call it social good. It's like financial truth, or it's wisdom of, where could I go to learn when I literally had pushed everyone out of my life. Like social media was my best friend when I chose to disconnect from everybody else. And it was a free resource of those who were willing to put themselves out there to create that financial truth that I could just absorb and consume, and kind of re-find my purpose and redefine, like, what am I doing? And so I'm grateful to people like you, Amir, who choose to get uncomfortable and choose to get on video. In fact, that's really the hidden gem of creating content, is actually who you become along the way and how you respond to such adversity. And there is adversity in the market right now, but those tough times are usually what you can look back, and as painful as those dark moments were for me, I'm so proud that I was able to get through them and who I became along the way. And a lot of that is attributed to social media, because of the goodness that it provided for me. Now, I also chose to consume and follow and subscribe good content. So that's my parameters around those who create social good and what you consume. You should always look to detox anything that you're following that may not be good, because you do become what you consume. But everything you learn, it doesn't matter if it's financial related. Like Deion Sanders is someone that I love to follow. He had a great post, I think it was yesterday, that it's goodness. It helps you think and reflect and absorb and then just be better. And so that's kind of been my mission and goal, is just not perfection, which I used to be a perfectionist. I would always strive for best. And I've learned that that doesn't exist. It's just the better version of myself every single day. And if I can just get better every day, then I'm winning.
Wow. So we're 22 minutes into this, guys, and I feel like we've already, delivered a lot of value. I've got a lot of value from this conversation. I would push everyone to, a couple things I already put on my list is I do fine tune the content that I follow, unfollow things that aren't making me better, and, whether they inspire me or educate me in a positive way, and, find new people to follow and make sure you're putting, I love that, social good. I work hard to try to be social good for anyone that wants to have an incredible career in the mortgage and real estate space. So do that. And then also really, I think everybody, it's time to like write your love note to the mortgage industry. And also, guys, take this message to realtors. They need to, write their love note. And by the way, maybe it's a tough note. Maybe there's some criticism in it. But the last thing I'll say on that before we get into 10X with Amir is extreme ownership. I mean, most of the time, like with two couples, if everybody takes 100% ownership for what's good and what's bad, goodness will come from that. So, write your love note and then just own it. Extreme ownership, and whatever's bad, if you completely own it, I promise you, that's what's necessary to turn the market we're in into something positive. So Amir, any closing thoughts on this chapter of this mastermind before we pivot into, your 10X message? Because you picked a headline. I want to unpack that, but anything you want to say before we pivot to that?
No, I'm all about commitments create identities, and I'm going to make a commitment to all of you here, and I'm going to write a love note. It's going to be called probably Dear Mortgage Industry, and I'll put it out there. And I just need a few days to really put my heart into it. And I think people right now, because of the fragmentation COVID has brought in our industry and because of everything going on, our leadership and our voice and our words of encouragement, I'm telling you, have never been more important. And so that's my commitment, is I'm going to pour my heart into that and put it out there. And I don't know where it's going to go, but it's going to be my truth and my experience in 20 years of doing this to hopefully impact just one person to stay the course and not leave this industry.
So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do, I don't know if I'll open it with that header, but I'm going to have the hashtag Dear Mortgage Industry in my post. I will put that on LinkedIn. I will put that on Facebook. I will put that on Instagram. And Amir, can you do the same next week? We're gonna write a post. So I would also invite everybody who wants to join us to do the same. If you watch this, whether you're watching this on a recording or you're watching this live, it'd be great to see how many people write a post that is your personal message, and you add that hashtag. We'll know that you listened to this call. And
you know what, Dave? I just got a light bulb, Dave. Remember that ice bucket challenge back in the day? Yeah. And then people would like vote for somebody else to do the ice bucket challenge.
Let's
We
play
should start a challenge. Like I write one and I petition someone else to write one, and they have to petition somebody else, and we'll get something going. What do you think?
Well, I think because of the call, it's 10X. So we can't just add two more people. So we're gonna write it, we're gonna hashtag it, and then we're gonna 10X it by tagging and challenging 10, people that we think we want to make this challenge. So bro, boom.
Let's go.
Let's see what the power of our combined community. Todd, can we get you to commit to that and really play this forward in the Win by Noon community?
Yeah, I already wrote it on my to-do list. Dang it, you guys. But I love the idea, and I love, Amir, that again, yes, Dave, you said it. He 10X'd it. I mean, making it the ice bucket challenge. This is it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think that let's commit that once we get it done with the mortgage industry, let's challenge the real estate industry to do it as well.
And also, Todd, I want to push you. Like, if you don't mind, like reaching out to Bill Hart and let's give him a push. Reach out to Daniel Harkavy. I'll reach out to some leaders in my community, and then Deborah, can we count on you to play this forward in your plug and play community?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's bring
It's on
our
my
4
to-do
communities
list.
together. Let's go. So let's do that, and let's see if we can pump some positive energy and some love into the mortgage industry. All right. So that was kind of unexpected that we'd spend the half the call and not talk about 10x,
It was awesome.
but let's talk about this. You picked the headline. Like, I invited you to this party and I said, what's the headline? And you said, you were really clear. Like, it wasn't like we went back and forth and you gave me 3 ideas. It's like, boom, this is what we're going to talk about. So what is it and why did you pick this headline?
Well, thank you, Dave. There was a post, you know, my social media post right now on Facebook. If we're not connected, for everyone watching, I'd love to connect with all of you. It's almost like my journaling every single morning. You know, I just said, I wake up, I reflect on my life. I have those moments of massive introspecting in the morning, and I think about sometimes big things, sometimes little things, and oftentimes it's very much what happened in my day before that I can share. You know, and I just put it out there in a constructive and sometimes challenging way, but a very thought-provoking way in most cases. And so I had put this post that you and I really hit off on, which is 10x, right? It's a kind of a big thing Grant Cardone kind of put out there. And I said, okay, what are the things in my life that have really truly 10x'd me? I said, okay, my wife has 10x'd my courage. The day I met her, she would give me so much every day, so much confidence to do things that I would not have myself. She legit 10x my courage. My coaches in my career have legit 10x'd my output. They've 10x'd my income because they've said, do not go down this exit ramp, stay on this May Road. Because if you go that way, you're going to end up 4 years later doing something that was a complete waste of time. So they just kept me on the right path, and I made more income in less time. You know, it's just, that's what you do. You trade money for experience and accountability. I wrote, you know, my daughter has 10x'd my focus. You know, I have a 17, 18-month-old daughter. I made it a public post. My wife and I have been through a crazy journey of pregnancy. We had, you know, I'm okay talking about this. I think a lot of people can resonate. We had 6 rounds of IVF, 6 miscarriages. We lost the baby 6 months with a surrogate. And we had our daughter finally through our second surrogate in Minnesota, and I'm a Chicago kid. So we touched all the bases of infertility to get to home plate. And so that was our journey. But, you know, my daughter was born. I said, oh my gosh, I'm 42. Like this kid is like my everything and everything we've been through. She 10x legitimately my focus because I don't waste as much time anymore. I get so much done till 5:30. Because I have to take her for a walk for an hour to be with her. It's our thing. She just knows I'm coming. I take our teacup Yorkies. We go outside and we invest that hour together. But I'll tell you, if she wasn't there, I would just bleed into that 5:30 and I would just stretch my tasks. So I started thinking about these things that have legitimately 10x myself personally and professionally. And I think that post really resonated with a lot of people because we have to think about what does bring out our brilliance and our genius? What does allow us to maximize our effectiveness and maximize our efficiency? There are things that we all have in our lives that do that. For some people, it could be boxing class, working out. It could be their, you know, mortgage mom group. This day and age, we have to all introspect and think, what brings the best out of us? And how can I put myself and weave my day and my week into those things to channel our energy and our drive to get the maximum amount of output? So that's where 10x comes to me. Like I said, the last thing I'll say in regard, like when I hired my best assistant, everything 10x for me. I went through so many bad rounds of being a bad leader, hiring, you know, for lack of skill set. But once I hired Suzette, my Mrs. Amir, my work wife, she allowed me to come out of the loan production business on a day-to-day and to really coach. So think about it. My wife gave me the courage to coach. Suzette, my work wife, said, Amir, you need to do this. You are an incredible coach. I've been with you 7 years. I started off as your assistant. And now I'm your right-hand person and you've made me so much money. I can take the mortgage business on, go coach. Because of that, I'm 10Xing almost 250 students, high paying investing students in the industry on what's going to be the #1 loan officer coaching company in North America. That's how I believe it. These things are allowing me to multiply other people. It is incredible when I think about it in this moment, how I'm actually just putting it out there. That's where that all came, is we have to be multipliers of people. We have to allow ourselves to be multiplied though, and understand what it is that multiplies us.
Bro, I just learned something else about you. And 6 miscarriages before your first, guys.
Not 6
that's-
marriages, okay? That would
I
be
meant 6 miscarriages. So Kelly and I had 3 miscarriages before our first. So I know the statistics in a very personal way, that after your 3rd miscarriage and your first kid, like the odds are not good that you're going to be able to have a kid, like, and to go 6 like that, guys. People don't realize just how uncomprehendable that is. And, clearly you and your wife wanted it, but you know the odds, like that you're gonna, have 6 and then you're gonna be successful on a 7. Like the odds are not with you. And so
Right.
first of all, hugs for that, bro.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
That was a tough time, but
Mm.
you came out. I'm super inspired by you. I do want to do a shout out, my current executive assistant, Paul, who I
the
got
man.
through a company that specializes in executive assistants. It's called Athena. And they do, all they do is create 10X assistants for busy entrepreneurs. So Paul, if you don't mind putting a link to Athena, at Trust Engine, we have several Athena EAs and they're insane. Like Paul, hugs. I can tell you, I'm 10Xing my best self, both personally and professionally. He's reminding me to take my vitamins in the morning, get in my walk, and then he's making sure that, the fortune is in the follow-up, that, the things I need to follow up on to make happen are happening. So guys, make sure you're killing it. And if you want a resource, I can't recommend Athena enough. And we'll put a link down below to it. Todd, I know you got to jump in like 15-ish. So I'm going to shut up for the next 15 minutes and just let you and Amir go back and forth. And then Deb and I will jump in and, kind of lead the last 15 minutes.
Well, no, I love that. I mean, it's, obviously a heart-wrenching story with a happy ending, which I always appreciate. One of the things that when I'm watching you on social, you talk about that your daughter has 10X your focused, right? And it's the whole Jocko Willink, right? Discipline equals freedom. And I know, one of the things one of your recent posts was around how, you do the activities that what took you from 0 to 50 million. And I think that kind of comes back to, I think that's part of the conversation that the industry needs to have now, is that, the transactions are out there. There's just not as many. And so how are you coaching your loan officers to actually do the things that they need to do, that they know they should do, that they're not doing, in order to be able to have that freedom that you have with your wife, with your daughter? I mean, that just gives me chills when I hear those stories.
Thank you, Todd. So I am a very firm believer that motivation without education is discouragement. Okay. And I believe that education with accountability is just powerful. Okay. So I think the sequencing is important. I believe many loan officers, and generally everyone, right? But specifically loan officers for, massive audience, right now they're feeling demotivated. They're not getting credible education in some parts. And then if they do, there's no accountability there. It's like baking a cake. I'm a terrible cook, but my aunt and my wife or my mother-in-law are unbelievable. And I watch them in the kitchen, and it's like the perfect sprinkle of, salt and things like that. And I think right now it needs a lot of excellence when it comes to the education and the execution and the accountability that are all needed to be able to, position ourselves on the other side of this. And that is what's really compelled me to give up so much to go and take this risk of launching this coaching company, because that's what I believe God has tapped me to do. And so everything that we lead with, Todd, is we're going to educate you. We're going to tell you how to do the what, when to do it, and how often to do it with pure, visceral nuts and bolts tactics to be a better loan officer on many levels. And then we're going to hold you accountable to your commitment to do that. And that is where we're 10Xing these results. I will tell you why I was about a minute late to this is I just interviewed Dave Stevens, as many people know. He is, an incredible man. The podcast will come out. And he said the same thing. I said, Dave Stevens, how have you been so successful in your career? You were a loan officer. Now you're in the White House. At that time, he goes, Amir, two things. It's risk. And secondly, it's your communication effectiveness. And I thought that was very eye-opening and very in line, Todd, what you just presented is that right now, it's risky to be a loan officer, but no risk, no champagne, right? As the old saying goes. And this business has a funny way of testing loan officers to see what their commitment is. It's how do they handle a boom? Are they still grounded? Are they still saving money? How do they handle a bust, right? Are they true to the industry and understand that, yes, money is important, but this is a cyclical business. And are you really committed to doing the things you need to do to reap the benefits on the other side of a storm? Are you consuming the right information and creating information out for your audience with clarity, right? And so what I'll tell you is what is pulling loan officers, the best ones in this market, is to understand the data, to be around battle-tested, positive-minded loan officers, because on the other side of this, and Dave corroborated this in this previous podcast about a half an hour ago, he and I both, and some of you may believe it as well, we will see one of the greatest housing booms we have ever seen. And people will look back and say, I wish I just committed more during this correction. I wish I was running with the right people, because now I have more market share and I'm able to take advantage of what the beauty of this business really is, which is a lot of people go through is the economic gains. So I would say if I had to summarize that in 5 seconds, this is the time to re-educate, to find credible professionals in the industry, and to find accountable buddies to do the work that's required to do the work.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's all, you talked about your 5 mentors, and I feel like right now the industry needs people around them more than they ever have. And I don't, when I say around, it doesn't mean necessarily who's sitting next to you, right? I've got so many loan officers that keep telling me they're going to switch companies because that's why their business is bad. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not it. That's actually the least of your reasons why your business is bad. It's and how can you put yourself around other people? So I think that's where what Deborah does on social media, what you're doing, and so many others that we have as a gift in this industry are getting you there. So you mentioned your wife and you mentioned your daughter and how they're helping you 10X. Did you have any other examples of 10X that you wanted to share with the group?
Yes, thank you. My wife 10X my courage. My daughter 10X my productivity, my focus. My assistant has 10X my time. I think it's also my network. I'm very careful who I'm with. I have an old saying, I don't treat everybody equally with my time, but I treat everybody fairly with my time. I'm very careful around that. In my 20s, it was yes, 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 yes. In my 30s, it was yes, 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 no, no, yes, yes. Now it's no, 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 heck yes, no, 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 heck yes, right? So if it's not a heck yes in terms of an event, if it's not a heck yes in terms of the person I'm connecting with, I just deflect or I limit that interaction. And so what's happened is, let's use a case in point, right? I come to Mortgage Summit, Dave reaches out and I go and I see Shayla Gifford, pleasantly persistent, right? And I'm like, wow, that completely gave me so much insight and inspiration, right? Then I see Sean Kaplan, my dear friend, right? And talk about his story and how confident he is on social and some of the vulnerabilities he shared around that. And I said, the phone is the most powerful thing right now. I need to be on camera and it's okay. If he's okay, I'm okay, right? That inspired me. Then I see a Nicole Ruth and I say, wow, I see a Jeremy Fortier and how he is a 10Xer and how he extrapolates the 1003 and finds so many opportunities for more business. I went to a distant land and I came back with the spices, right? And so just that network allowed me to just 10x my mind. And so I think right now it's all about where can you be, smart with how you deploy time and be around the right people. It's your network. I know the old saying, your network is your net worth. I really believe that, because think about it. People open doors for people behind closed doors. Dave has opened doors for me. Behind closed doors, Dave is saying good things. I have proanoia. I know people are saying good things behind me because I do good things for others. And we need people to succeed. It's our emotional intelligence and our people skills that does these things, right? When I'm behind closed doors and an opportunity comes up for a Deborah Bird, I'm going to say, you need to put her on. She is the person. She's a mom, former teacher, does the production, is humble. So our network does open so many doors behind closed doors, and it 10x's our income that people won't believe.
Dang, that's so powerful. What are your thoughts, Dave?
Well, I'm just biting my tongue because I know you got to jump soon, and I make sure, but I do have some things to say, as I'm sure Deborah does too. But why don't you share some of your closing thoughts? Because I know you need to get with your wife and daughter at this special time.
Well, we're going to taste cake. So, I try to be healthy, but I'm excited to taste, I think 12 different cakes or something crazy like that.
How fun is that?
I'm just, what I wrote down was I don't treat everyone equally with my time, but I treat people fairly. So I think that's really powerful. I want to encourage all of you, right? We're all in sales. And one of the things that got me in trouble and still sometimes does is I love to say yes to people. I want to make people happy. And you do have to, when you treat people fairly with your time, you're also treating yourself fairly. So I would keep that in mind. Amir, do you have any scripts around that of how you politely say no to people, or any scripts around how you end a call that is, you can tell the other person wants to keep going, but you're trying to go, I got a hard stop and I need to get this person off without them feeling like I'm getting them off the phone?
Yeah. Well, I'm the scripting king, man. I started off as a telemarketer. Okay. So you say scripting, I'm like, what? I get excited,
I'm all in.
Yeah. I think honesty saves everybody time. And I think vulnerability is very powerful. And so when I am asked to do certain things, I'm very honest. And I say, first, I always lead with gratitude. That is a mantra for me, is always lead with gratitude and everything will work out. And I always thank people for thinking of me sincerely. And I say very clearly, I have committed. I'm very committed in this season to be the best I can for my wife and daughter. And I ask that you keep me in mind for the future, but right now I cannot participate. So that's kind of my go-to every single time.
Well, I love that you lead with gratitude, right? Because that's kind of our whole idea of my mortgage letter that we're all going to write. And I think that when gratitude comes from here, like I don't think anyone who's listening to this call, whether they're listening to it or watching it, is not going to hear the gratitude that Amir has and that he's bringing about the industry and the connections that he's made. And so I think when anything comes truly from the heart, it's super easy because people will actually feel it on the other side. They're not going to feel it's cheesy. And I think probably the other thing I'm seeing this year, besides people succeeding who are putting the rookie mode on, is the people who are truly grateful for what we've all gotten out of this industry, even in a tough year, are the people who are succeeding. So I do love that. Now, of course, I got to ask, so you were a telemarketer. You got to give us a little, the backstory on being a telemarketer and in sort of how that has impacted you. Because I do know that people who've had that type of career are a little more vicious when it comes to their ability and willingness to get on the phones and work hard and get rejected.
Well, in 2003, I was, had a small stint in college, all right? Because that's what good Persian boys do, is their parents tell them to be a doctor, attorney, or astronaut. And my parents were like, this kid's not going to be any of those. And my dad had a small business near Wrigley Field. I was always working. And I was so nervous, Todd, to leave him because I didn't want to go into the business he was in. And one of my friends started walking into class with a suit and tie. And I said, why are you wearing a suit and tie, man? He goes, I'm an account executive at World Savings Bank. I said, excuse me? He goes, I'm in the mortgage business. You should get in. And I said, what do I do? He goes, I'll find you a broker that I'm an account executive to. I asked my parents, I lived at home until I was 27. And my dad said, you got to work for somebody else. My dad 10x'd my courage. He gave me great wings. And he says, go do it, son. You got to work for other people to understand how hard it is. Can't always work for me. So I went And I went for the interview, Todd, and I brought Persian food for my interview because I read a quote in my Chandler's assignment notebook for some of you 80s babies. You know, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. So I brought all this Persian food for the interview, got the job. And one of my greatest mentors, Kevin Taylor, said, okay, you know what you're going to be doing? I said, I have no idea. I just want to work because I hate school. He says, you're going to be cold calling people in public records that have a higher than a 6% interest rate and convince them to do a refinance with us. I said, can you speak English to me? I have no idea what you just said. He goes, you're just going to call people and convince them that they're paying too much on their mortgage and get their social security number so we can see their credit. I said, people are giving you their social security number over the phone? Come on. He said, yeah. And I said, okay. So I went and I very much enjoyed it. And I studied different books. I learned how to say, how are you in 25 different languages because Chicago is a very diverse community. So that was a huge icebreaker that I did within 15 seconds. I learned the technique within 30 seconds, how to convince someone to trust me. However, with the X factor, Todd, with cold calling is you truly have to understand what are you doing for somebody else. I told my boss, I've always been a little bit naive in a smart way, right? And so I asked Kevin, I said, we're saving these people money. He goes, yes. I go, why? This is not right. These people are paying 8%, but we can get them a 5% at the time. He goes, yes. I said, we're doing the right thing here, right? He goes, yes. And they were a great broker shop. So I felt it. Sales is a transfer of energy and enthusiasm and confidence. And so when I knew and I believed what we were doing, and I filled in the technique around how to articulate what it is that was in my heart, I became the top telemarketer in the entire company at the youngest age in the entire country. And so now when I tell loan officers, when you cold call a real estate agent, you have to do a PCS, a pre-call stalk. You have to find one personal fact about them to affirm them. You have to make sure you understand what it is you can provide and articulate that in a very short, enthusiastic manner. And so all it is, Todd, with cold calling and scripting is to accentuate really what's in your heart. And if you believe what you're selling, the technique around the communication, the framework is just as important. And you can get on the phone with anyone at any time if you believe in it.
So I just love that. I love that.
Do we have a new our first invitation to next year's Scriptapalooza?
I want Dan Keller.
I was going to ask.
Stage with Dan Keller. Mayweather versus Pacquiao, baby.
No, I am sure Dan will get an invite. He is a repeat, but you are first new edition. By the way, will you say yes, Amir? Are you willing to be on Scriptapalooza next
How can he say no when he's on live with us?
Look
I'm
at
ready.
Dave, the ultimate
but I'm closing
closer.
it. I'm closing it. Like
Yeah,
I want to hear him say
Ultimate
it.
closer.
Are you
I'm in.
game? Okay, there
I'm
we
game.
go.
I'm
Close. By
ready.
the way, that's how you close. Even when you know you had him at hello, you still make him say it. All right. All right. Take care, Todd.
It's
All right,
hard.
what
Good
I'd
to see
like
you,
to-
man.
Appreciate it.
What I'd
Yes,
like to
Todd.
do, first of all, Amir, you're amazing, bro. I'm
Thank you.
loving every minute of this conversation, and I can't wait to interview you again and
Thank you,
have
brother.
you as a regular collaborator in this community. I right now the keynote that I'm delivering on stages when I get asked to speak is the advice revolution. And I've been in this advice revolution, not my entire career, but pre-mortgage coach, when I came up with the value prop that my advice makes a difference. And I founded Mortgage Coach and created Mortgage Coach to deliver on that promise to a consumer and a realtor. And I think, this will be my 38th year in the mortgage industry, like advice has never been more important. 63% of all mortgages start with a 2% or 3%, and rates are never going to be that low again. And in fact, we'll be lucky if they get into the fours. They're going to basically be twice as high going forward as what 63% of Americans are. And then first-time homebuyers, there's a affordability crisis in America. So I feel like advice, like the loan officer of today and the loan officer of the future, like if you want to write a note to the mortgage industry and it's a love note and you're going to kill it, you need to be an advisor. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think there's such a value gap. And I think people are all looking to add value, but not willing to make themselves valuable. In order to add value, you have to be valuable and you have to pursue value. And I think being an advisor, first of all, is leading yourself the right way. I hear people all the time say, leadership. I'm a very big believer. How we lead ourselves is the most important step in leadership. So in order to be an advisor, it's to be advised. We're all just messengers of information. We're all just brokers of knowledge. And that is where people are attracted. This is how I'm on this interview with you guys, is through my platform, specifically Facebook, is because I share value every day for people without any strings attached. Here you go. Here's everything. My free stuff is better than their paid stuff. But all this is not, you know, just out of the blue. It's my years of learning and earning, Dave and Deborah. It's my years of studying. It's my years of experience and mistakes. And it's just me putting it out there of what my subject matter expertise is, you know, in a very discerning and a very presentable fashion. So people now are attracted to me because what a giver, sharing everything, right? I'm just a conduit and an intermediary of all these other people that have come in my life. And now I'm considered an advisor because I led myself to put that time in to invest in being coached, reading the books I needed to read, being curious and asking people, watching, you know, your YouTube channel, right? You'll laugh, but I watched a Jeremy Forcier video the other day. You know, I didn't get through the whole thing, but I'm like, this is a gentleman that I very much respect. And when he speaks, I know he's going to give me some gems. It's always being, you know, beginner and having humility. And then we end up becoming an advisor. Actually, in order to be an advisor, we have to be an advisee to ourselves. It's really that simple.
How important do you think it is to specifically use MortgageCoach to deliver advice to both consumers and realtors?
I think it's an absolute travesty that I did not get on it earlier enough. Better late than never, right? I think that, okay, this is the best way I'll package what you're saying, okay? It is one thing to know the information. It is a whole different thing to be able to present the information, okay? This business, as first-time home buyers clearly understand, is that we're desensitized as loan officers because we do so many transactions, right? But what happens is the true mark of a great advisor and a great teacher is the level of enthusiasm they can present the information like it's their first time. And it's the ability to be able to speak to people how they want to be spoken to, not how we want to be spoken to. It's not speaking in the vernacular. We cannot speak to home buyers saying LTV and DTI. And I can't believe some loan officers speak that way. What MortgageCoach does is it creates a visual platform and conduit to help the home buyer take such difficult information and overwhelming and, you know, intimidating information in a very easy way. We have to give them mashed potatoes for their baby teeth, not steak. We need to speak with industry professionals in steak. We need to speak with buyers in mashed potatoes. And that is what MortgageCoach does, is let's take all this mumbo jumbo, and here's a very colorful, illustrative way to help you understand money. I almost want to make a bold statement that it should be mandatory.
Bring it. You can make that bold statement. It's mandatory.
I don't know how else to say it, man. It's
Yeah,
I
well,
think it's like you can't get in a car without tires. Like this, you have to be able to present the information in a digestible way, and nothing else does that.
So I'm gonna hand it off to you in a minute here, Deborah. I am currently doing and building content called Speed to Need training. And basically I think, you know, we're in an era where getting, you know, speed to lead, I'm not saying that's not important, but it's not enough. You need to get to the need of the consumer, and you need to deliver clarity, because consumers, you know, are in pain in this market, and it's not going to change. Like, this whole decade is going to be the decade of the mortgage professionals that can solve problems at scale for realtors and homeowners around home ownership, are going to gain market share and kill it. And it's going to be an amazing 5 to 10 years in mortgage, but just being a loan officer is not enough. So would you be willing to, you and I do another call all around, you know, like I did Jeremy Forcier's Jeremy's top 6 strategies. And I would love to do one with you. And if you want to invite one of your coaching clients that's a badass mortgage coach, because I know you're still an operator in the space, but you also coach. So are you willing to, you know, let's schedule that out, you know, sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks?
No doubt about it. And I think that's very aligned right now with everything we're coaching is boring basics, right? We are dialing in our professional loan consultation guide. I have a playbook that I created through years of being coached and through years of iteration of the exact structure of a highly effective initial professional loan consultation, right? Our industry is so broken that we don't have like a university where we can learn how do you structure the framework and the sequencing of educating and presenting and guiding a home buyer through your communication, through your analysis, your discovery, through your post consultation presentation, right? These are all highly effective type of conversations that the industry needs right now.
Beautiful. So Deborah, I'll let you, ask questions, comments, and close out today's call, guys. Stay tuned for another Amir Syed Trust Engine Mortgage Coach interview. I'll try to get it in the next 2 weeks. By the way, who likes that idea? If you like that idea, give us a like, give us an emoji. Let me know if that is something you see value in. Cool. Deborah.
So, in spirit of talking about falling in love with the mortgage industry or maybe re-falling in love, I really don't know how possible that will be for those who are sticking with the transactional side of the business. So if you're feeling like you're in that rut and not every client is getting a TCA, or you're not tuning into the financial literacy to really transform the trajectory of your clients' lives, this is the very way that will possibly help you re-fall in love with the business, is just sharpening that saw and becoming the advisor, which will require accountability of daily educational training, which if you guys haven't gone to mortgagecoach.com, if you go under resources, they do the daily trainings if you need to sharpen that saw. But if you're someone right now that's like, if I have to get on the phone and ask another client for their social, date of birth, email address, because it's just transactional. And a lot of people think they're relational just because they really care about clients. And so I don't mean this disrespectfully, but in order to make it the next 5 and 10 years, what are you doing that not only separates you from the other loan officers that are glorified order takers, but how are you getting fulfillment with what you do? Like, how is every little activity, whether it's making cold calls or
Yes.
doing daily, you've got to align it with a bigger purpose and a bigger why to make you want to do those things. And when you start transforming lives and you start documenting it and you see the data and the analysis, it fuels you to want to pick up the phone, just like Amir said in his early days of cold calling, because you know what you have is goodness for people and you're actually serving them with things that they need. They may not know that they even need it yet. So all that resistance and call reluctance and fear of approval or rejection, that stuff goes away when what you have is goodness. And to me, using a TCA with every single client is your way to just re-fall in love and feel fulfilled with what you do every day.
I love these times, Deborah. I love these times. You know that growth emoji? It's like this, and then it goes like this, and it
Yeah.
goes like this. It's this part that goes down. It's the best. It's the great equalizer. It forces the professionals and the committed ones to stay the course and level up. And that winners like you and I win more.
Well, that was going to be the last thing that I shared when you guys were talking about gratitude. Is I recently had a family vacation with my 4 kids in Florida. And let me tell you, as much as I love them, I was like, you little ungrateful shits sometimes. They will just bicker and fight. And so I was telling them, like, it's hard to be grateful when you've never been without. And so if I hadn't been without and hadn't had some of the struggles that I've had in my life, it would be hard to be able to look back and just be grateful for what I have today in the life that we've created. Probably same thing for you, Dave, as you were driving and YouTube hits. And it's like, if you hadn't been without, how would you know what gratitude feels like? So I'm grateful for the tough times, because I know based off history, it makes the good times even better.
Struggle gives success value.
Mm-hmm.
Amir, you are just, the number of quotes and micro content we're going to create.
It's
Trust
Chat
Engine
GPT,
Innovate.
Dave. I'm Chat GPTing all this.
No,
now.
yeah, you really are Chat GPT powered. So guys, closing thought. I really want to make sure that this hashtag Dear Mortgage Industry gets some thought. I mean, I'm going to get value from it because I started writing it. I already got value from that. after hearing Amir's story, I'm gonna, redo it. Who knows? I might make a series of posts around this. And then I am gonna hashtag and tag some people that I would love to hear their stories. Mortgage Coach Innovation Team that you're listening to this, let's create a piece of micro content so that people don't have to watch this whole hour to get it. Like, let's create a video. And Amir, once we, this will be on social media by the end of the day, but that micro content will probably hit next week sometime. We'll make sure we tag you guys. If you could help us promote it, I just want to really see how far we can take that, love note to the mortgage industry. So I'm going to really just close on that, guys. Let's take action on that. If you're watching the recording of this, the more people that make that post, first of all, I know there'll be value that goes into creating that content. I don't know, Amir, I know we could spend time on this, but don't you feel like the value you get in putting that content out there, it expands your network, it creates value, but the time that you spent internally in creating that content is as valuable, if not 10x more valuable. It makes you a better person. You agree with that?
Yeah, they say journaling is so powerful. That's my journaling. It's my public journal. It's my time to be with myself and organize my thoughts, get some clarity, introspect, right? And then just showcase it for people out there. Journaling can be a little bit more personal, obviously, when there's some really personal things, but that's basically my public diary. And it just declutters my mind.
All right, guys, we'll follow Amir on whatever social channels you use. Follow this guy, unfollow some people that are not elevating you and inspiring you. But I can tell you right now, anyone that is in this community, anyone that is in the Win by Noon community, anyone that's in Amir's community, like and anybody that we interview on this community, it's all about social media for good. I hope everybody has an awesome weekend. This call is a wrap. Make sure you give this a like if you got value. Share this with anyone that you like in mortgage that you want to see be more successful. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.